events, perhaps the highest used event in a browser window, fires at such a rapid rate that event handlers should not use computationally expensive operations such as DOM modifications. Instead, it's suggested that event handlers throttle these events with the use of request animation frame methods and set timeout methods, even custom events. And the practicality of scroll events allows the web page owners to know exactly where users are with great certainty uh, at any given time on his or her web page. And that information in turn can be used practically by allowing the web page owner to change some CSS elements or switch off some calculation, some heavy animation that is not being viewed. And do you agree with the recommendation that can be found on developer.mozilla.org MDN's website when as suggested that or recommended to throttle the event, to throttle scroll events? Well, yes. One of the beauties for listening for a scroll event is performance degradation. The browser will execute a callback every single time, some 60 times per second, which is beautiful for a gamer depending on his or her character to be in a certain position relative to the background image. Consequently, it's problematic if there are a bunch of repaints. Repaint's expensive, especially when you are repainting large parts of view, such as in the case when you scroll. Repainting different colors and images 60 times per second can be linked to being prone to causing seizures. For example, in 1997, an incident drew worldwide attention for many children and some adults. In Japan, after watching the popular cartoon animation Pokemonster had epileptic seizures. As a follow up, 5 years later, the New England Journal of Medicine published a letter in its July 22nd issue of the 91 children who had suffered seizures after watching Pokemon. The children were divided into two groups: 24 children who had some history with epilepsy, and 67 of the children who had no prior experience with the disease. And among those with no history of epilepsy, researchers found most recurrences were in patients with a history of seizures associated with fevers before the age 12. The study also showed that among children with epilepsy, those who had seizures within the previous year or those who had epilepsy triggered by flashing lights or flickering patterns were more likely to have repeated seizures after watching the Pocket Monster event. And I would argue that the Pokemon problem can be simply corrected by requesting that the browser calls to a specified function to update an animation before the next repaint.